About now. Now there's audio.
Oh, wow. Awesome picture there.
About now. Now there's
sound.
audio. Yeah, plus that
Oh, wow.
annoying
Awesome picture there.
that I can't figure out how to make go away. About now. Now there's
sound.
audio. Yeah, plus that
Oh, wow.
annoying
Awesome picture there.
that I can't figure out how to make go away. Got a ground loop somewhere. I've just never been able to find it. About now. Now there's
sound.
okay. Yeah, plus that. Pause that so that it finally goes away. Okay. All right. So now I need to hear everybody talk because I didn't do that. Okay. Yeah,
All right.
plus
Let me
that.
speak and see how
Pause
that
that
sounds
so
to
that-
you.
It finally goes away. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Talking.
All right. So now I need to hear everybody talk because I didn't do that. Okay. Yeah,
All right.
plus
Let me
that.
speak and see how
Pause
that
that
sounds
so
to
that-
you.
It finally goes away. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, there we go. Just had to go through that time warp process. Did you see that great video of the band that used the Facebook Live loop to
Yeah.
I think I brought it to the show at one point. I just didn't know if you guys had watched it.
Yeah. I recall something. That was last year or so, wasn't it?
Well, in 2017, yeah, not really last year, but
Well, I mean, I've slept and done nothing since then. So that's a lot to cram in my memory.
I had one of those days yesterday where I got up late, I ate breakfast, I took a nap, I watched Netflix, I went to bed. That was my day. Best
Wow.
day ever.
Yeah, that sounds great, man.
I don't get those very often, but when I do, I enjoy them. All right,
Yeah.
I think we are ready to go. Launch your recording devices, please.
All right.
I am recording and other sundry stuff.
There you go.
All right, here we go. In an attempt to do the shortest tightwad tech, or no, tightwad tech. What is the show GeekRant in recent history?
No, I think this would be the shortest GeekRant ever because by the time
That's a
we
good
switch
point.
to GeekRant, hour, we're just warmed up.
All right. Any questions, comments, snide remarks before we start?
Nope.
So basically, you're going to be taking up the entire intro / warm up, explaining the format of the show. Is that
No, I don't expect that to take 10 minutes. It's just you guys didn't put anything there.
okay? Well, I should have asked before because that's what it seemed like. Is that this one was going to be more of an intro and less warm up?
It's entirely possible. We'll just have to see. So
So
I need to find some sort of shared timer that you can all see, so that
Well,
you know.
You know, we've got next week's show is supposed to be like what we did over the break
Right.
kind of thing, right?
Right.
So we
That's-
don't probably need to do a huge amount of warm up here. We could spend the 10 minutes on intro, like
Right.
we're back. This is the new format. This is what we've discussed, and this is what we just discovered, and this is what we have chosen to do, sort of thing.
That's the idea.
Geek,
Yeah. We don't
GeekRant
need to-
2.0.
Yeah, we don't need to tell you what we've been doing this week because, we can do that next week.
Yes. We'll see how that goes. If I can actually keep myself to that. Let's see. I have that device recording. I have that device recording. You're both recording.
Yeah.
Have you power cycled your devices?
I did that previously. Yes.
Okay.
Preemptive
making sure.
power cycle.
Trying to
Yes.
help.
Do you
Yeah, I
have a
appreciate it.
timer clock nearby?
I do. Right here.
Okay. Perfect.
Let's see what happens. All right. Let me make a marker on the Audacity and we'll go. Hello, here.
Yeah.
Hi, really out of practice? Let's try that one more time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geek Rant, episode 312, CES 2018, recorded January 21st, 2018, and brought to you by Element OP Productions. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the only place on the internet where geeks rant and the video has been showing Miles this whole time while I've been talking. That's the only place on the internet where that can happen. It's all right. So we're back, ladies and gentlemen, after about a 6-week hiatus, and there are definitely some rusty spots as a result of it. It is amazing how this is kind of a thing where if you don't do it all the time, you really sort of lose some of those skills. But anyway, before I go too much further, let me introduce you to your stalwart co-hosts, those who are always here, even when I am not, Seth the Gooey Kid Anderson and Miles the Oxygeneer Wakeham. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Mark, and welcome back to the Faithful Element Opiates. We remember
2018, everyone. Yeah, it's here. We're back.
Yeah, so this is our first show since end of November last year. I very bluntly put it that I was just totally burned out and didn't want to do it anymore. That was the truth. I've had some time off. I had some time to rest and recuperate, and I'm ready to get back here and attack 2018 with a vengeance. The guys and I, this is not the first time we've been together since we were last with you, though. We got together last week and did a little bit of planning and some discussions about what we wanted 2018 to be for the GeekRant podcast. And so there's a couple of things that we're going to try. First off, we are going to attempt a 50-minute format, 50 minutes. Now, we've already blown that because I forgot to start my timer, so we're going to be about 52 minutes, even if everything goes perfectly. But that's the goal here. We're mainly just to try to tighten things up so that we're not rambling on forever and ever. And in order to facilitate that, we're going to have to do some things that we haven't done in the past, that we've put all together. We're going to do them separately. So our idea is that we're going to have 5 different types of shows in a given month. So there's on a 5 Wednesday month, right? There'll be 5. On a 4 Wednesday month, there'll be 4. So the first Wednesday of every week, we will be talking about the geek culture stuff, the movies we're watching, the books we're reading, that kind of thing. So that whole first part of the show that we used to do about 20 minutes on, we're going to do that as a show, all by itself, on the first week of the month. So those of you that hate that sort of stuff can just not listen to that episode instead of whining about it all the time. So the next week, we'll do a discussion topic of some sort. So that will be the second week of every show. The third of every month, rather. The third week of every month will be the news items. What's going on in the month? So since we're only going to be doing those once a month, we'll do the whole month worth of news. So it won't just be that week. So all that effort that Seth has been putting into things that we have been ignoring will hopefully not happen anymore. We'll actually be doing those things. Then the fourth week of the month will be either another topic or a continuation of the topic from the first month. So if we have like a theme month like we did Financial February, we'll have 2 financial topics. Or if not, it'll be something completely different. And then those months that have 5 Wednesdays, the 5th week will be for listener feedback. So we won't be doing the listener feedback interspersed in every show like we did before, unless it's something that is directly related to a topic we're talking about. We'll bundle all those up, and we'll do them about 4 times a year when there are 5 Wednesdays in a month. So that is our basic lineup as we have discussed it. Guys, do you have anything to add to that discussion?
All I was going to say was that I think this is going to get easier as it's not going to be as complicated as that for the average listener. It's going to be pretty simple. But the good thing is, we're not going to go on for a couple of hours, and we got feedback on that. We heard you, so we're going to pull that back. And then the second thing is that we're going to be very specific to our topic. So if we post an episode and we give it a title and you see it on the website or you see it in your podcast catcher in your ID3 tags or whatever, we're going to be true to that. So you're going to know ahead of time what we're going to be talking about. And then as Mark rightly said, you can choose whether that's for you or it's not. But this way, at least everyone gets to know what we're doing. And if you just love us because you do, just listen to every one of them. You might learn something.
Ditto. So, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that prompted this, and yes, we have gotten lots of feedback about your show is too long, and 2-hour show is ridiculous. And I personally, I don't agree with that. I have never agreed with that. Getting more show is not a bad thing. And if it runs over your 45-minute commute, fine, you listen to it on your way home. And I understand that doesn't work for some people, but there's a lot of people it does work for. But the reason for making it shorter, let's be totally honest, is so that I have to do less work in the editing and the production. And we're going to try to be putting more of an emphasis on video coming later in the year. We're not going to do that right now. And to do that production after having come back and told you that, I am completely burned out and not wanting to do anything anymore, to come back and now do, a long show, and try to do the video and all of that it's just asking for trouble. So we're going to try to make the shows tighter. Again, 50 minutes is the somewhat arbitrary thing. But one of the feedback we got from a listener, and I can't remember the exact quote, and I didn't think to pull it up there, was he said something about when your shows were topical, that gave you a sense of, of community, a sense of understanding. There was this thing that you were talking about. When they were not topical, when they were more discussion-based, it ended up being just sort of this long-going stream of consciousness for months at a time, and it made it difficult for any one show to stand out over another. That feedback right there impacted me in a way that none of the others did. The general whining about the show being too long didn't really move me in any way. But when this listener made this comment that there was nothing singular about any one show, and there was no concept of beginning and end, that it was just one long show lasting a year at a time, really spoke to me. So that's why we're going to try to be more topical. And I think that's all I have to say about that.
Yep.
Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left in this segment, but since I didn't start the timer on time, we're just going to move on to the next one. So our topic for this week is CES 2018. Miles went to the show, as he did last year, and he was sort of our roving reporter from the field. And I have intentionally been pretty disassociated with CES, not just 2018, but in general. I don't... it's not really a thing I care about anymore. And so maybe Miles can make me understand a little more and care about it. So ready, Miles, go.
CES 2018 and in Las Vegas. So just for those that don't know what CES is, which is probably very few of us in the geek community, but it's the Consumer Electronics Show, and it's an annual event. And the idea is that all the manufacturers and the people who build the stuff, the gadgets and the toys we know and love, all get together for 3 or 4 days well, it's usually like a week, but they get together in Vegas every year, every January, usually the first or second week of January, and second week, I guess. And then what they do is they show what they're working on and what they intend to release for the coming year. So it's not a show about products that they're already selling. It's a show about products that they're going to be releasing. So I like the idea of it because it gives you a couple of days to go and walk the halls and see all the vendors and the manufacturers that you know about and get a sense of what's in their pipeline and what they're thinking about for the next year. And then it's one of the few times that you get to actually put all of those manufacturers together and make some sort of general assumption about where the industry is heading in the next 12 months. So that's the value. And I understand where you're coming from with CES, Mark, because from the distance, it just looks like a big rah-rah session to promote and spin a bunch of manufacturers for them to sell more gear.
Yeah, so but one thing there, it's not even the Consumer Electronics Show anymore. They don't even call it that anymore. It's just simply CES, largely because it's no longer about consumer electronics. It's a whole lot more B2B stuff. And it started out as wholesalers, sailors coming together to learn about the thing that the manufacturers were going to be having to offer for sale in the year upcoming. And then somewhere around, 2010, 2011, it sort of became this thing for the everyday geek to learn about the things that are upcoming. And And I kind of think it's fizzled on that front. It's a lot of the things that are proposed haven't actually happened, and the things that have happened in different ways. So, that was just my take on that.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, the other thing is it's a real meet and greet place for vendors to meet manufacturers to meet their distributors. And a lot of that is a lot of the changes that have gone on over the sort of period you're talking about happens to do with the fact that most manufacturing of electronics products these days is made in China. So you get a lot of Chinese manufacturers who are presenting what they're working on, but they're really working on what we wanted 2 years ago, not what's coming up. There's a gradual change, but they're still not on the leading edge of invention and creation. It's more of a production thing. So you have to take that into consideration. You'll see a lot of those vendors who are selling stuff that isn't all that new or hip. And then you'll get the players like Intel and Google and the big car manufacturers, and they'll show you something they're working on, and you'll have that wow moment. And it's those things that get all the press. So yeah, that's pretty much how CES is. To give an idea of the size, this year's event had 184,000 people attend.
And it's not open to the public, right?
Well, okay. It's not open to the public officially, but it's free to enter, and pretty much anybody is going to get a ticket. All you got to do is go to the website and register and say, yeah, I work in the entertainment or the computer industry or the tech industry or something, and fill out a form and you'll get in. I mean, you'll get in. It's not a problem. Or if you know somebody who's already registered, they can usually get a wad of passes they can give you, but you can do it. It's not a big deal. And they don't turn anyone away. That's why 184,000 people go there. But to give you a sense of size, at any moment in time in the city of Las Vegas, there is only 149,000 available hotel rooms. So that kind of tells you how this conference is the biggest event in Las Vegas in the year, and how it pretty much swamps the city. So if you go there and you don't book well ahead to get a hotel, good luck. You probably won't get one, or you'll be paying, $500 a night or $1,000 a night and a 3-night minimum stay and all of the stuff that goes with that. So just, be prepared if you are going. For those who have done it before, this is all common knowledge for them. The one thing that was different this year is they now have a picture ID on the badges they print. And you have to bring, like a government photo ID, like a driver's license or something, to get in. They would, if they pull you and they check your badge, and they, at the time when they're issuing the badge or whatever, they're going to want to see ID to match the picture on the badge. So, I guess it's a security thing. All right, so that's kind of the backdrop of CES. Let me get into what was there. It was good. I mean, it was good in that I've been to CESs for the last, I think, like 4 years now. And this was probably one of the best ones. It was very big. It takes over the entire Las Vegas Convention Center. And then it also takes over all of the neighboring hotels, particularly the Venetian, the Sands, the Westgate. The Venetian pretty much becomes another part of the convention. It's huge. It's another massive convention center. So you do a lot of walking. I walked with one of those, my watch has got a step tracker on it, and I was clocking 25,000 steps, per day. No sweat, just walking around, seeing things. It's a bit of a workout, but you see a lot. So highlights, you've probably seen all the shows like, Twit TV and all that stuff that they show you what their highlights were. And so a lot of this stuff is probably already in the common media. So I'll stick to the stuff that I kind of saw and thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And it may not be the stuff that the media is reporting on. But the first thing that was noteworthy was that there were 2 new vendors who have never actually been to CES before, or at least I don't believe they have. Google was there and Dell was there. And both of those companies, I've never seen them at CES before. no Apple, which, well, that's kind of historical. They stopped going to these events back into the 2000, I think it was. But none of them. But Google showed up. And the weird thing was, we went through I went to CES with a good friend of mine, Charles, and the two of us, we went through Google, the stand, and we were like, yeah, there's nothing here. Because with a company that is all about what's on the web and what's kind of embedded in the cloud and everything, how do you show that? I mean, what do you show? A booth with a Chrome browser in it? I mean, doesn't make much sense. So anyway, no, we Google was there, but other than the fact they had all their people dressed in these, Ask Me Google Home device looking props, there wasn't really all that much there that you got a sense of why Google were even there. So that was kind of interesting. Dell was really hard to find. We must have spent hours trying to find Dell. And eventually we were told they're over in the Venetian. So we go, they got this app for CES. And if you type in, you want to find Dell, it comes up with like 15 pages of Dell, and you can't tell where their center is. Like they're everywhere. They're spread. So we went looking for it. We couldn't find it. We ended up, the closest thing we found was one of these hospitality suites where they were giving away free food and drink and had a whole lot of Dell computers on display. And I'm like, well, hey, free food and drink. That'll work. So in we went, we did that and didn't really see any Dell. So that was a no-show. Okay, so the stuff we did see that was pretty cool. There's a lot of automation in terms of autonomous cars this year. Oh man, that was everywhere. If you walked away from CES this year after seeing everything, you would think within 6 months the cars that you will be buying will be driving you and you won't be driving them. That was the feeling you got. Everybody was autonomous. Everybody was all about people movers, and you literally would get this car and get in it, would drive you, and that was it. And that was the whole theme done. That was CES. Give up your keys, you're not driving anymore. That was kind of the message.
I welcome our overlords. I want that to happen someday. So were you actually driving around the floor, or were they really tightly controlled environments like around a track or something?
Well, yeah, they did have a bit of both, actually. The Intel had a really nice... The Intel were very big in this, and mainly with a lot of their embedded technologies that they're selling to the car manufacturers. And again, it's not something which shows up very easily on a display booth, but in order to demonstrate it, they did a lot of sort of artificial environment simulations of what life would be like in an Intel-powered autonomous vehicle. And so you went into this boothy thing and sat down, and then they start the show, and it's like screens all around you in 3D representing what the car sees as you're traveling. And so you can see it pick up pedestrians, pick up other vehicles, pick up hazards in a 360-degree environment. And you know what? You did get the sense that cars were going to be safe, and I think in the end of the day, you've sort of walked away thinking, I don't trust humans to drive anymore because I can see what the car can do. And there's a whole lot of this sort of open source, crowdsourced data they're getting from the roads and all that sort of thing. So, that was cool. Yeah, definitely. You saw the over the road trailers, semi-trailers, all the autonomous ones of those. You saw all the autonomous cars. Every car manufacturer was there with their offering. Some were really sci-fi, and some were more down to earth. I was surprised to see Mercedes had what looked to me like a reasonable consumer-grade car that was going to drive you.
And what was the expectation on release of that?
I didn't get to ask them that or get a sense of it, because
so it's not something they were touting. They weren't saying for the model year 2019 or something like that.
No, yeah. They weren't that close. But from what I could tell, every year that's gone by, they've had a vehicle which was a prototype that fit this model. and they all look like something out of the Jetsons. But now the cars are starting to look almost production ready. So I'm thinking like maybe 2 years, 3 years, something like that. I guess regulation's going to slow them down a bit, but I think they're ready for it. And it's not just them. I mean, Toyota were there, Kia were there. I think Honda was there. Everyone was there with some sort of offering in this area. So, yeah, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the when looks like it's pretty close. And then to sort of associate with that, a lot of the vendors were rolling out 5G networks, cellular networks. And the rationale behind 5G is it's got low latency, and apparently autonomous vehicles need low latency. So 5G is a thing. So that was a big push that we saw as well.
I mean, come on, do they really need low latency? It could take 3 to 5 seconds to identify if that's a person or a lamppost.
I wonder, yeah, this is where you really think, I don't know if I want that data in the cloud so much.
Yeah,
just put a big hard drive in the car.
If 5G lives up to its billing, it will be the universal broadband. You won't have AT&T or Comcast fiber or cable in your home. You will have a cell tower on your roof, and you will have a single service that is both for all your tablets and your phones and your home. It has that kind of capacity, and rolling out more is just a matter of building more towers or throwing out more satellites. You don't have to deal with right of ways and easements to dig cable or anything like that. If it can actually do what people say it can do, it will be the broadband of the future.
Yeah, that certainly was how things were being sold. It was almost like an assumption. It was just the next thing they're going to do, and we just, we'll assume it's here in 12 months or 24 months or something. It wasn't a matter of, again, it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. There was a lot of that in this. Even there were some weird ones though. There were companies out there that were showing their projection for cities of the future, and they did look like a cross between kind of the Jetsons and Blade Runner. You felt a bit dystopian, and then on the other hand, you felt like it was clean and nice, and everything's rounded edges and pretty pictures and plastic, and I don't know, it just felt a little weird. But they're trying to build these futures, and they do feel a bit like a sci-fi novel. But anyway, there are also a lot of the traditional manufacturers offering their next gen versions of their products. That's particularly the case in televisions. The big ones are Samsung. I mean, they're massive at CES. They had this TV which was huge. I mean, I don't know the actual measurement in terms of inches, but it had to be like 200-inch TV. It was massive. And what they did was kind of cool. It was on a wall. It was the wall. They called it the wall. But you didn't realize that, because when you went in there was a TV that was like a 65-inch TV showing up there. But you didn't realize that was actually a picture of a 65-inch TV being broadcast on a 200-inch TV with a pretend wall background. And then eventually that sort of disappeared and the whole wall became the TV. And that was amazing.
Available next year for only $37,000.
Well, I've seen when they rolled out 4K, it did not take long before that stuff actually was in the Best Buys. That came out very fast. And I'm not sure if that might be that we're just going to see massive TVs. The other one, this was amazing. LG have this flexible television. It's literally like a piece of, flexible plastic. It bends and it, whatever you can do with it. It's pretty big. I mean, it'd be like a 65-inch TV that's on flexible plastic. And you just stick it on a wall and that's your TV. Well, to demonstrate this thing, they built this cavern-like maze sort of, I don't know, corridor that was all curvy. And all around it was the wall. It was the TVs, floor to ceiling, including the roof, was all TVs. And when you went in there, they projected this massive picture of I don't know, underwater, and you were underwater, and then it would change to being in a jungle, and then it would change to being in a building, and it was just amazing. And you're walking through this, and the whole environment around you is just changing.
So
because of these flexible TVs.
Was there no bezel on the screens? Was it just wall-to-wall image?
Yeah, because the material is like a poster, so you can attach them next to each other, and there's no bezel, there's no end, there's no edge. It's the actual material.
That is what I'm looking for. That's the thing, right? You just wallpaper your wall with that material, and then it can be whatever you want it to be.
Right. And go ahead, Seth. I'm sorry.
If you overlap them, are they smart enough to figure that out, or
probably not?
I mean, or is it designed? Is there like this? How does that work to make sure you don't like half-inch overlap or whatever?
I don't know, because I don't think they're intending on selling multiples of them. I mean, I think they're just saying this is a single TV, and you're going to put it on the wall like a painting, and it's going to become part of your wall. And you're not even going to maybe it's just going to have a picture of a piece of French art or something on it, and you're not going to realize there's a TV there because it doesn't stick out like it's the wall.
I want to do away with windows. They're big, giant, inefficient holes, literally holes in the wall that, we try to make them as efficient as possible, but they're not. And that's where your heat leaks out or in, as the case may be. So I just want to put that thing on the wall, have a camera on the other side of it, and boom, window.
Yeah, there was a guy on YouTube. I think was it the Linus Tech guy? He's from Canada. He did that. He built he was in a office or something. It didn't have any windows, so he built one of these flat TVs to be a window. It's pretty impressive. Anyway, yeah, it's a thing. Apparently, the TVs are becoming part of the walls now. So that's kind of cool. And then as far as differences from last year, there weren't so many drones and so many wearables as there were last year. Last year, that was a big thing. This year was more robotics and AI. I think there is still some of the old guard who are still trying to stay relevant. And it is hard because this is all about doing crazy things and wow factors and trying to impress the punters that are there. But Panasonic, I'll give them credit. They really did a good job trying, but they still don't have a product that sort of fits in that category. Sony didn't kind of have the same wow factor they'd had in past years. They were pretty much still showing the stuff they were showing from the previous year. They've got a 3D virtual reality thing for the PlayStation that people love. And rather than usurping that with something new, they just showed it again. That was kind of, a bit drab. But that's just, how it is. You can't expect everybody to have everything crazy. The one place that was interesting was Kodak. And, you think Kodak, this like dinosaur company from the 90s that missed the boat on digital film and went bankrupt or almost went bankrupt. And, where are they now file? Every year, Kodak have been up there trying to sell something to keep the company alive. I mean, stuff that's got nothing to do with film, nothing to do with anything. And it just so happened that I walked into that booth right after there was a bit of a rumor in the cryptocurrency community that Kodak were going to be releasing their own coin and their own ICO and their own crypto mining stuff. I'm thinking Kodak. I mean, this is a film company, right? Well, yeah, apparently I talked to somebody about it. I said, look, I read this thing this morning in the press. And this guy was funniest thing, pulls me aside and he goes, I can't talk to you here about it. I'm like, okay, really? Okay. So he pulls me aside into a corridor and he goes, yeah, the lawyers will have a piece of me if I tell you this, but here's what we're doing. And then he told me the whole thing. And I thought, on the surface, it sounded okay. It sounded really interesting. And then the night after CES, they went public with a press release on this stuff. And it was pretty much the same sort of story. Apparently, what's happened is they're releasing their own coin, Kodak coin, and it's supposed to be used for validating ownership of digital content. Like if you take that photo, you own that photo, it gets put on the blockchain somewhere, and their coin is used to mine it and validate ownership. Yeah, oh yes, that's a thing, but I don't know. Most of the people in the crypto community are kind of going, "Oh, another one." But here's the weird thing: this company, which is basically on its deathbed and about to go out of business, releases this press release. The next day, their stock doubles. I mean, really? What? Because you put an ICO together? I mean, come on, you know. But yeah, that's what's happening. So Kodak's still kind of, you know, in the dark, fumbling its way through into its future or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of still around, but not really a thing. That was kind of really the highlights of CES I found for this year. The only other thing was we did manage to convince BMW to let us sit in the back of the car that went drifting. So that was kind of cool. I don't know what it has to do with tech or anything, but they happen to be out there driving around crazy, wearing tires out. And we managed to get a ride in the back of a driftmobile, which was fun. Yeah, that's my CES tale. Any questions, gentlemen?
Well, just a comment. I love the idea of using the blockchain to verify a chain of ownership. I mean, that's kind of what Ethereum is doing. And if Kodak wants to do that, and you know, and they can make the technology robust, I don't mind it. But it's not a currency. It's not a coin.
Yeah. I think that, you know, they're trading on the. If we just put blockchain in our name, we'll double our price. You know,
right.
It's this punt. But yeah, it feels a bit desperate.
Seth, you have any thoughts on the matter before you blow away?
No, I've been watching. I'm looking at this radar, and it shows the Reds part right over where I'm at. But I mean, CES sounds kind of cool. I don't know, Mark. Maybe we need the GeekRant blockchain. I think that would solve all of our problems.
Yeah, we'll have an initial ICO next week. That shouldn't be a big deal. They seem to be pretty easy to slap together these days.
Oh man!
And
yeah,
so,
like we need another one, right?
Look for that.
Yeah, but Miles, or go ahead.
No, go ahead, Seth.
I was gonna say, was there any? I mean, you talked a little bit about 5G. Was there any demoing of it? Plans of when it's going to make it out to places with a higher cow density than human density? I mean, this has the process. This is the game changer for us rule type people who have single digit upload and download speeds.
Yeah, no. All I saw was Intel was probably the most noteworthy vendor that had a big 5G stand sort of somewhere. Intel's booth was huge. They had a big 5G stand there. You could go there and ask them about it, I guess. But really, there wasn't. It's really hard to demo visually. You know, that sort of venue is not really good for showing it.
Yeah.
Well, you could always pull up the trusty old speedtest.net, because we know there's no real internet in those convention hall floors, because they make you pay like $80 a day for internet.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a look at the future, what CES tells us the future would look like. But first, before we get to the future, Seth, we need to look back. So tell us, what happened this week in history?
All right, so we're going to go in the way, way back time machine to January the 21st, 1888. Yes, 2 centuries ago, Babbage's analytical engine passes the first test. This is kind of the concept of a future that never was. You know, what if people had tried Leonardo da Vinci's machines and we started flying them? Where would we be now? What would have happened if we would have actually built Babbage's analytical engine? But the analytical engine of Charles Babbage was never completed in his lifetime. But his son, Henry Provost Babbage, built the mill portion of the machine from his father's drawings, and on January 21st, 1888, computed multiples of pi to prove the adequacy of the design. Perhaps this represents the first successful test of a portion of a modern computer. Recently, a portion of his earlier machine, the difference engine, was sold at auction by Christie's of London to the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney, Australia. And now, Mark, that's what happened this week in history. And now back to you. I
can't just leave that. That's amazing. 1888. What 100 years before the microcomputer revolution, we had the macro computer revolution, right? These were giant, huge mechanical devices that could basically do what an abacus could do, but automatically. That seems pejorative today, but in its day, it was pretty amazing. And it was so complex, it couldn't be built in his lifetime.
Right. But, you know, what would have happened if somebody would have tried to build it? You know, version 1.0 wouldn't have worked, but they would have got closer. And, you know, would that have led to computing faster, or would we have achieved a level of automation below what we have now and stymied progress? That would be, you know, great topics for a debate or something.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that always amazes me about the history of this sort of stuff was, I mean, obviously we weren't alive in 1888, but I wonder what the culture of the environment in which these guys lived in, whether or not there was a positive influence that was in social culture at the time for them to break free and try and invent this new stuff. Because this stuff is like, I mean, considering what a day in the life would be like in 1888, this is way out there. I mean, you would have to have some sort of a culture that would say it's okay to go out there and try and change the world and fail doing it. I wonder what that would have been like in England in that time.
Well, go ahead, Seth.
Go ahead, Mark. I was going to say, he was kind of a wealthy man, so he could sit around and do stuff like this. You know, the mill worker who had to work 36 hours a day to provide, you know, gristle and stuff for his family wouldn't have had much time. But someone like him, the upper class, you know, sure, change the world and make yourself richer.
And that was exactly the point I was going to make. Was there, in a time when you had to spend so much of your effort on getting water and chopping wood, there wasn't time for leisurely invention. So it had to come from these aristocratic people who, at the same time, had a vested interest in keeping the people under them. So that democratization process couldn't have happened at that time in history, I think.
Maybe it was built and he saw the future where he wouldn't be Lord Babbage and tore it apart and destroyed all records. Conspiracy theory back for 2018.
Well, maybe he was Jack the Ripper.
Seth, you've already given us a good bit of randomness, but let's go back with a little more. Tell us what you have to lower my productivity this week to make you look like a better hiring option.
Now, friends, I know you receive many gadgets on Christmas time, and you regret the fact that you have last year's gadget. It just isn't as fast. It doesn't run as well as it used to. Well, there is a website for you, and I am thinking of you, Mark. This will increase your productivity, and your kids' tablets will go great. If you go to downloadmoreram.com, you can download more RAM for your PC, your laptop, or any device. You click download, and you can choose, do you need an extra 4 gigs, 8 gigs, 16, or 32? You can get 32 gigs of DDR4 2400, 1.65 volts. You select that plan, download, and then you click the download button, and you will have more RAM. And if it doesn't work, simply download more. Download moreram.com for all of your computing needs.
And I can tell you that it is a painless and seamless process, because while you were talking, I just downloaded 32 gigs more RAM into my machine.
Oh, no. Don't click the link after you've done the download.
You have to click the link after you've done the download. You won't know if your RAM's working or not.
I'm afraid to, because I don't want the audio to go over the stream. But downloadmoreram.com. Where was this back in the day when I spent $400 buying 8 gigs of RAM in Best Buy back in the day? I needed this then. I guess the technology just wasn't there yet.
I got rolled.
Oh, I just saw the video. Awesome. That is amazing. Okay. It went from being funny to being amazing once you click on the link. So you're right, Seth. You must click on the link. All right, so that's it. This is the part of the show where I tell you how you can contact us. Go to elementop.com, click the Contact Us button at the top of the page, answer the world's hardest CAPTCHA, fill out the form there, and that gives you preference in my in-basket. And we love to hear from you. We will be reading those every fifth Wednesday, apparently. I don't know. Is it going to be fifth Sunday recording or fifth Wednesday release? We got to figure that part out. But we love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the new format. I know you'll hate it. I mean, because I came up with it. Therefore, you'll hate it. That's the way the internet works. So pretend Seth came up with it, because most of you seem to like him. So Seth, this was all his idea. And so tell us what you think of the ideas for 2018. If you have some suggestions, and in my experience, the internet is never short of suggestions, we'd like to hear what you have to say. So thanks for hanging out with us. Seth, Miles, you guys got any final words of wisdom before we say goodnight?
No, but we're back. That's a good thing.
We are indeed back. And apparently I'm trying to call Seth in a hangout on my phone. I'm not sure how that happened. But, and he just answered me and went away. Sorry, Seth. So technical difficulties abound. So thanks for listening. Obviously, you, the listener, are the reason that we do this. And we appreciate you hanging out with us. And we hope that you have made this transition with us. We went away for a while. Maybe you went away for a while, too. We'll see. But we look forward to talking with you next week, because that's it for this episode of The Geek Rant. And remember, pay for what you like.
All right.
And there we go. And we came in about 3 minutes ahead of schedule, which, considering I forgot to start the timer, should be just about right.
Well, yeah. I mean, plus we'll fine tune that.
Yeah.
I mean,
was it helpful for me posting the time there in the notes?
It was, and I was thinking in the before I even started it, maybe I should download some sort of a timer app and sit it on the desktop and let it run. But
here's what we need. Here's my suggestion. I need you to invent this, because you are a world famous programmer.
Okay.
We need it should be pretty simple, a centralized timer on a web page where we can set up the format of the show. And when I click go, all three of our browsers are showing the timers. And it'll do the 5-minute timer, and then immediately switch to the 25-minute timer, then immediately switch to the 10-minute timer. That should be pretty easy to code, right? I just,
whenever somebody says that, I laugh. I'm sorry.
I'm sure
that should be easy to. You can change the world tomorrow, right? That should be pretty easy. Yeah. I mean, come on, it won't cost much, will it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could do that, if I had the time. I could do this, but I'm going to outsource it because, I just don't have that kind of time. You hear that, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then the outsourcing becomes like the reason that you're doing it is because you just don't have a lot of time. Not because you can't do it, but because you don't have a lot of time. Yeah, I hear that. But anyway, yes, we'll work something out.
I'm sure there are apps that do that. And if I spent any time looking, I'm sure I could have found one, but I didn't spend any time looking.
There'll be Flash apps that do it.
Well, I'm thinking like Android apps, like centralized production app where, surely we're not the only person to have ever needed a timer on multiple devices across a distance.
No, you're probably right. There probably is something already written for that. That's true. But, if not, I can throw some JavaScript together and make it work.
Looks like we ate, the storm ate Seth.
What was going on? Was he just got a tornado there or something?
Really rough weather, hailstorm, that kind of thing. And Rick, what are your thoughts on the first show of 2018? I'm curious to hear your comments.
I can hear him typing.
Well, see, I've only been recording for 46 minutes, so we couldn't possibly have hit the 50-minute mark.
No, we probably were under it.
Yeah, I think we were.
Oh, good as ever. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if we didn't have to be limited in time, we could waffle on forever.
That's true. I think in time, we will see that the constraint of time will force us to be better at what we do. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Seth is trying to call me. Hey, Seth. You called. It only came up on the phone. Is that you in the other hangout too?
I lost connection to the other one.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
he's.
I hear myself.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Hey, Seth.
That's weird.
He's here. He didn't die.
Yeah. So anyway, connection went dead. And I'm okay.
All right. Well, we're glad you're not dead.
Yeah. Heavy rain.
We'll talk to you next week, brother.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
See you, Seth.
Yeah, he couldn't get back in on the web, but that's all right. We were just at the end.
Yeah, timed it perfect, I guess. All right, well then I'll bug out of here as well and get this thing up on the Dropbox. I know I was going nuts on Friday with that IPFS thing.
Once I get all those emails read, I'll be into it. Hold on, before we have this discussion, let me go ahead and stop the YouTube stream. So,
sure.
Bye guys. See you later.
See y'all.
This is secret stuff. The lawyers will have his head if we talk about it.
Yeah, really.
All right, see ya.